Welcome to today's Seidokan Saturday. So, last week we talked about universality, or bodies move the way they move, and attacks tend to come in generally similar ways. People punch, kick, throw in very similar ways, and it's been that way throughout history. This is why you can look at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and see American wrestlers find great success there. This is why Mongolian wrestling translates very well to sumo. Throws are throws, sweeps are sweeps, punches are punches. Humans have fought in very similar ways, at least in terms of unskilled attacks, since generations. So, this week, I want to first dispel a myth. Some people think that kata is facing multiple opponents that surrounded me, which is why I get to one end and I turn around and I go to the left and I go to the right. This is not the case. Okay? It would be silly to think so, that I'm just standing here and somebody attacks me from the back and I'm suddenly mystically able to sense them like the ninja phony tests. Won't happen. What kata do tell me is where I position myself relative to my attacker. The assumption, or the presumption, because we don't like to assume, is that the attack is from the front. And even if I get attacked from the side, I'm going to turn and face my attacker, so again, he's still attacking me essentially to my front. What it does tell me is the attack comes from the front and I change my angle. Pinyan Nidan, perfect way to start. Okay, all of the pinyans pretty much start by turning us 90 degrees. The attack comes from the front, I move offline 90 degrees with my hammer, and what looks like a punch could be a punch, might be something else, we'll get into that. But that's the second clue. So number one, we're not surrounded by multiple opponents. It's one guy, and variety of ways to deal with him or to continuously control him. Second is positioning myself relative to the opponent. So let's, again, Pinyan Nidan, I position myself here. He may have grabbed my wrist, I do that counter wrist, bring him down, pull him through, and maybe punch him in the head here. One possibility, okay? I move to the side, I hit him on the hand or the leg or whatever he's trying to attack me. He's coming in with a wrestling shot, trying to hit me here. I move off to the side, hit him in the head, okay? He tries to grab my leg, I knee him on my step through. So there are a variety of things we can do with that, but the concept is still, my attacker is here, I move one side or the other, depending on the kata and what it's telling me. Or I go straight into him. Notice that there's not a kata that I know of in our system where we step backwards. Consider that as well. So what about the turns then? Okay, given that we aren't facing multiple opponents, and that my position in the kata tells me my angle relative to the attacker, what about the turns? Well, there are three reasons for the turns, in my thinking. Number one, I didn't want to just keep doing the kata for 300 yards straight forward. Seisan, we block, step, punch, pull. Here, now I can just go forward, continue forward, and just keep doing everything in that straight line all the way through. Why don't we? Well, it's a long kata, we could run out of space. And if we consider even the size of my dojo, it's pretty small. So we have to turn around and go the other way. That's one reason. It's kind of like the old story of, well, I won't tell it, but anyway, sometimes it's just the dojo is too small. A kung fu teacher was once asked, how can we step back at the end of this kata instead of the beginning, or this form, this kwon? Why do we step back instead of forward? And the instructor said, because my old instructor's school was too small, and so if we step forward, we'd hit our face on the wall. Sometimes it's just that simple. Second reason, there are some kata where we turn just for one move, like Pinyan Shodan, right? We've gone here, we turn and we face the back for just one move, and then we come back down the forward embusen, or line of the kata. In those cases, what it's telling me is I want to get my opponent's back to me. I want to turn him somehow. So if I've come off to the side here, and I've grabbed his head, and I've hit him here, and then I grab him and I back fist him and grab his hair here, now I come around behind him, I've turned him, where I can kick him, take him down, okay? So that's the second reason. On a short turn, a lot of times it's so that I can turn myself around to the opponent. Or Version 2B is, in a judo throw, sometimes we place our hip and back to someone. So again, going to Seisan, I get to here, I cross my hands before, during, or after the turn, depending on your teacher, and come around here. What have I done? My interpretation is I've got that guy's arm, I step through and I break it over my shoulder and maybe even strike him in the groin for good measure. So sometimes we put our back to the opponent in order to throw, so that we can do the throwing movements. Okay, you see that in Wansu very specifically here, where I turn and throw. So that's the second scenario. I'm getting behind them or putting them behind me for a throw, getting behind them to finish them to the back. The third reason is, I forgot what I was going to say. Maybe that was the third reason. Okay, space usage. Get behind the guy or throw the guy. Those are the three reasons, okay? Now, there are some which are a little ambiguous. Let's take Piña Nidan, where I've just done my third block, and now I turn and low block. That could be the throw turn. We could make that a throwing application from here, grab the guy, throw him to the ground, punch. Or it could be, and I'll do it this way if I've done my high block, it could be that I'm just turning around, and again, my attacker's in front of me, and I've taught myself to step at a 45-degree angle into doing my technique, okay? Space, getting behind the opponent, or turning on the opponent in order to effect a throw or a takedown of some sort. Those are the three reasons for the turns in kata, and explain the angles. Again, we're dealing with a single person, not multiple attackers. Try Nai Hanchi with a single opponent. Get one guy in front of you, start the kata, get him, and once I have a hold of him here, keep a hold of him, keep a hold of him, keep a hold of him, hit him, grab him here, keep a hold of him, pull him up or joint lock him, keep a hold of him, break, keep a hold of him. See if you can do at least 50% of the kata before we turn and face the other way without letting go of that one opponent. There are a couple of kata that work that way. So, one opponent, single attack of some sort. Now, some say it's all the same attack for the entire kata. I have a hard time thinking that the low block in Piña Nidan and the high block in Piña Nidan are dealing with the same attack. However, it could be if you eliminate the concept of blocks. They don't exist. I recommend you watch the Arakaki video that I posted earlier, and you can get a deeper concept on that. So, good luck. I'm not going to get into specific details of what I think kata are, because I wasn't there, but these are clues and hints of ways to properly interpret kata so that they are realistic for your self-defense. Thanks for watching. Hope I didn't bore you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on the next Saturday. Until then, keep practicing.